Hello, everyone. Kanisu here, and to everyone we're doing the RPG Creator Podcast with SaintInix.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
To start off, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm just a tech guy from America, really, Midwest Indiana, not too far from Chicago, and just always been a gamer, and just like to play video games, pretty much.
What really got you into RPG Maker?
Uh, how easy it is to use. Um, I tried tinkering with Unity at first, and it just was a little bit much to get started with. It's a little overwhelming, so I did some research and saw some stuff on RPG Maker and checked out the series, poked through some of the older versions, and eventually figured, might as well go with the newest one. Um, Grabbed a trial and started messing with it.
You have a project called Work Gamer Life, right? Can
Yeah, yeah, I do.
you tell me a little bit about it?
Uh, yeah, it's kind of like a dark comedy, uh, basically based on just real life. I mean, working bills, surviving, taking care of things in your house and in your life to keep on going to the next day. You get up the next morning and go do it all over again. Um, it's about the race to get ahead and to go forward in life, improve, and grow as a person.
What do you plan to put into the game, like feature-wise and like story-wise?
Oh, lots of stuff. Uh, Real-time system, of course, is already in there. I want to use a lot of variable calls to the real-time system to allow us to do banking interest and timed rental events for items, your home, maybe even taxes, um, multiple jobs and multiple classes with specialist classes above those classes in the progression, the ability to become a CEO and own your own company, and uh, or the ability to get in with the crime syndicate and start blowing stuff up and totally derailing everything, just going completely opposite.
So you plan to like maybe like have you work your way up in the job?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, through the level system that's already in RPG Maker, it's fairly easy. You add in your skills as you progress, and then once you get to a certain level, there's going to be the ability to switch jobs, change to a more specialized craft. Instead of being a food worker, you can become a chef, um, with just better items and different skills and different enemies to fight and different situations to be in, which of course is more rewards, which means you can climb up the asset ladder quickly and buy or rent larger homes and work your way toward being a CEO of your own company.
Is there anything that inspired like the concept of the game, like a game series, book series, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean just life in general, but also a little web game called Stick RPG. It was pretty basic when I played it a few years ago, but I was coming up with ideas for a new project. My first project was just too massive, outpaced my skill set. So I came up with a smaller idea, and it just kind of clicked because it had always been a game I enjoyed, and I thought more could be done with the premise of it.
You have a demo of the game out, right? Like version 2?
Yeah, yeah, it's a second release. It's pretty basic at the moment. Um, the basic map is there. Not all the buildings are working, which means they don't have doors or access to the building because there's no map for you to go to. There is one job site, two job sites working, and two classes you can become: the food worker in Burger World and the laborer in Power Inc., which is a little factory. Uh, but there are no special classes for the laborer at the moment, and there are only a few for the food worker. So they're really incomplete classes right now.
So on the next update, you plan to like fix some things, like add a little bit more content.
Oh yeah, quite a bit actually. The next update is going to include all four starting classes, with 8 different abilities, skills for each class as they progress up toward level 10. To where I've got it kind of trying to get all 4 classes to a level 10 progression evenly and fairly well balanced, and then work from there. It's also going to have a lot of fixes, some new areas, um, some new eye candy and stuff, spruce up some of the areas with more plants and more uh, little things like sorry, signs and street lights and um, yeah, I mean a lot of collision is going to be fixed. Tile sets are going to be totally redone, so that's going to be working as it should. Hopefully, might be a few bugs still, but 90% should be figured out.
Yeah. How much do you plan on? Do you think on average you spend working on the game in the upcoming updates?
The I honestly I've been really busy over this holiday weekend, but I went kind of crazy and got just like put in probably like 12 hours last night and this morning and did a lot of fixing things and a lot of adding things. Um, just stayed focused and didn't leave the computer and just kept going and going and going. So
Do you ever find it stressful or demotivating working on certain parts of the game like scripting, mapping, or eventing?
um, eventing's pretty easy now that I've gotten into it a little bit. Mapping, I don't seem to have a problem. I like to design a map, so that's not a problem. But the scripting is a bit rough.
How do you think the project will turn out once it's finished? Do you think that maybe it might become popular, a bit massiver?
Um, I hope it becomes popular. I hope people like to play it and enjoy it. Um, being as it's my first project, it's a learning experience at this point. So if it doesn't become something awesome or great, or people think it's not that, it's understandable because I'm still getting the hang of the maker, the engine, um, and designing and bringing my ideas to life in a game that's fun for other people. That's like my biggest challenge right now is figuring out how to make it fun for other people to do the things I think up in my head.
Going to a couple of general questions. What do you think makes RPG Maker a good programming tool for creating indie games?
Because of how easy it is to get into using it, within a few hours, you can have a small like tech demo style game where there's a few basic areas and some monsters to fight and a couple bosses and a dungeon. It's really not that hard to get into it and start making it. Not only that, but it's really powerful when you get into the Ruby scripting engine. There's so much that's possible if you just figure out the scripts, or if somebody else has figured out the scripts and is willing to let you use them, or if you purchase them from someone. There's a lot of customizability. I don't know how you would say that, customizability, in the engine with the scripting and some of the different menus and some of the people have made games that look nothing like RPG Maker at all. I
Yeah, I
think
can
that's
agree with
awesome.
that.
I think that's pretty cool that you can do something that removed that you can't even tell it was made with RPG Maker. So that's great. That's an awesome feature of the engine in general. The scripting ability, and the scripting possibilities.
Is there anything you like to see done in like the scripting engine in RPG Maker?
Uh, be, because I really don't know it that well, I couldn't really say too much. It would be really nice if RPG Maker could go to a slightly higher resolution. Like nothing huge, but just be able to scale up to like 1,000 by like 800 or something. It's just something like that.
I
Something
believe
a
for
little
RPG
bit
Maker
bigger.
there's a high resolution. For RPG Maker, I believe there's a high resolution DLL they can get for it's like a script that can like make it more high resolution.
But it caps out at 640 by 480 because the
Wow.
current the current standard is like 544 by 416. I'm getting the numbers wrong. I know I am. I'm close, but I'm not there. But it's yeah, that's the default, and then you can bump it to 640 by 480, but you have to use a bunch of different scripts to resize menus and things like that. And the cut scenes end up being jumbled and like choppy if you don't do some scripting fixes. So it's doable. I would just wish there would be a way in the maker that they would make it possible that you didn't have to go through all those hoops. That you could just select it as a possible resolution for the player. Like I said, not 1080 or nothing, but just a little bit bigger window, so you can see a little bit more of the map and a little bit more of what's going on.
How do you feel about the community so far, seeing as you're kind of a new member on the forums?
Feeling great about the community. Everybody's been really helpful, very nice, very just they've always got tips. If ever I get stumped and I post something on there, within like minutes, somebody's got the solution, or they've got another thread where a bunch of people talk about different things they did to solve it that I couldn't find because I was searching for the wrong query or something like that. So, yeah, I've spent an hour looking for stuff on Google, and then I've gone to the forums, and within 5 minutes, I've had an answer.
Yeah, the
It's
forums can
just,
be pretty helpful when you're new.
yeah, they really are. There's a lot of really experienced people with a lot of knowledge, and they genuinely want to help because there's a sense of community where everybody there wants other people to be able to make their games, and they want to be able to play those games. They want to, if there's an awesome game that somebody came up with, they want to be able to play it. So if they help that person, there's this sense of, hey, that's going to make the game I eventually play that they make that much better. So it's a really nice, tight knit kind of setup that you guys have got there. So I really enjoy it.
I'm going to move on to a couple IGMC questions. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, yeah, the indie game maker contest.
How do you feel about the concept of IGMC?
Oh, I love it. I think it's great. For people who wouldn't maybe normally be able to sit down and work for 2 or 3 years on a game because of other things, other time constraints, they can spend a month working on something and see the progression, see how far it's come. And if they have an awesome idea, something that people really like, then they get prizes, rewards, they get publicity, and it, in general, is not a bad thing. There's really nothing bad about it in any way you slice it.
Yeah, it really helps out like the developer like get out there a little bit more.
Oh yeah, definitely. As indie developers, and especially with how easy RPG Maker is to use, there's tons of us out there. There's tons of people trying to throw a game together, you know, and not really having everything they need to make a polished product. And it's really nice because the people who really put a lot of work into it and have the knowledge are seem to be recognized, for their hard work and for their ingenuity and for their imagination.
If you were like maybe a judge for the IGMC, what do you think would like be something you would like want inside a game for the IGMC?
Well, I've always thought of gaming as pushing limits, as breaking boundaries, as figuring out new ways, new and exciting ways to do the old stuff. So definitely things that were more cutting edge, pushing the boundaries and the limits of what the RPG Maker engine can do. Those would catch my attention off the bat.
What do you think would make like a good game like even better? Like the art, the music. What do you think overall stands out to you the most?
If I had to pick one that stands out the most, it would have to be audio, but it's followed closely by like gameplay, and then closely after that by artwork, because you have to have a level playing field if you're dealing with this game that has a wonderful orchestral soundtrack, and it makes you just like have goosebumps and stuff, and it's beautiful, but it looks like junk that you'd play on, an Atari. People are not going to get into it as much. So you have to kind of, even if it's all going to be retro 8-bit, make it all retro 8-bit. Stay consistent. If you're going to go for a certain style in audio or in gameplay, visuals, whatever, stick with that style and go full tilt with it. because that's what's gonna sell. That's what's gonna hook people about your game. If you go all over the place with this modern creepy horror game, but then you've got this weird kind of survival wilderness music that's all crickets and birds chirping, but then your art looks like some, it doesn't mix. It
It
doesn't
doesn't fit the
match up.
atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have like all three in close proximity to each other. Just awesome art isn't going to make you a great game. Just awesome gameplay isn't going to make you a great game. I mean, it's going to make you a really good game, but you need all three. You have to have all three to make an awesome, like a really good game that people genuinely just love and want to play.
Do you plan on checking out some of the entries, or to maybe see how like they made, or maybe see how like it was done?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Right, like this last week or so, it's just been busy, busy, busy trying to get the basic framework of my game put together. But once I've got some of that out and working, and I know is good, I would like to spend a little more time uh, poking around some other people's games, seeing how they did things, seeing what they did, and you know, enjoying other people's creations.
Like based on genre, what genre of game would you look forward to the most? Like fantasy RPG, like what type of style of game would you look forward to the most?
I'm kind of a fan of everything. I do like the fantasy style with the dragons and skeletons, magic users, and necromancers and things like that. I also do enjoy like modern storytelling, zombie post-apocalyptic stuff, and pretty much everything in between. I mean, as long as it's got a interesting, engaging story and it's something fun for me to do, I'll play it.
So saying it doesn't really matter on like what the genre is. It really depends on like how the gameplay is and like how the aspects of it are.
Yeah, how it presents itself, how it plays. I mean, it could be a great looking game, but if the controls are crap and every time I try to do something it messes up, then I'm not going to play it. I mean, just every little piece makes the game.
What type of like style of game do you like prefer? Like humor, horror?
Um, I do like humor. I'm a fan of like Douglas Adams, Monty Python, um, and so I like that kind of dry, slapstick, British humor. It's always been my thing. So you'll actually probably see quite a bit of that in my projects. If I can't laugh, it doesn't feel like as is worth it to me. Like I gotta laugh a little bit, even if it's a serious game. They gotta throw in some laughs every once in a while because otherwise, it just gets boring, too serious.
Yeah, just like deadpan, like just serious all the
hmm
time.
Yeah, exactly. Some games might be able to pull it off, but most games you need to break the monotony every once in a while, and you need to have a humorous moment just to like lighten the mood.
So like I wouldn't like really enjoy like a game that's like dark and gritty all the time. Like maybe a couple jokes in between like scenes or cutscenes like that.
Yeah, or jokes placed in the game kind of nonchalantly or kind of covertly, so it takes you a second to get them, and you're like, oh hey, yeah, that was kind of funny, like some of that stuff. Like you don't have to like come right out and do a fart joke in the middle of a murder scene in a crime detective thing, but maybe you could have it later when he went to the morgue to check out the guy. The gases had built up, and he's trying to talk to the mortician, you know, and then all of a sudden the corpse farts or some shit, and then the mortician goes into this spiel about how it's normal and stuff. I mean, lighten the mood in certain ways, but not. You don't got to overdo it either. It's a fine balance. I mean, making game is making like any other piece of art. A great novel or a painting or something. It takes every color of the rainbow. It takes all your creative talent, and it takes a fair bit of luck, and that other people will also enjoy what you think is entertaining.
Usually I like to like put in a lot of Easter eggs into my game, like hidden secrets and stuff like that.
That is fun, and a lot of people do really enjoy those. Um, I've heard from people that say that they don't like too many, but then again, I've never heard that much about it, so I think most people enjoy them.
I mean, a little like secret in between, like maybe like a developer room or something like that. That sounds like pretty cool.
Yeah, or just little inside jokes and things that people who follow the project would understand, or little clues that they would get. Regular people would be able to stumble on the stuff eventually, or by chance or whatnot, but little things like that would make the community feel involved in the progression and the creation of the project and the game.
Do you feel like some type of aspects do you like enjoy? Like some games made with RPG Maker do not include a battle system at all, and some just like focus heavily on the battle system. Which one do you prefer out of those two?
Um, I honestly would have to say it depends on the story you're trying to tell. Some stories can be told without combat. They don't need the combat to be an engaging narrative and to have good conversations and good problem solving or puzzles or whatnot. I mean, it depends on the game. A good puzzle game shouldn't need any combat. I mean, if you want to throw it in there, cool, go for it. But then again, yeah, I don't like the all combat, nothing
Yeah.
else style. That's a bit too much. I think you can do without it, but there's a line where there's too much.
Yeah, like a battle like every 5 seconds,
Yeah,
like
like
encounters everywhere.
like my three step my three movement step random encounter on my in Burger World. That was fun, wasn't it? I saw you on the video doing that.
Oh God,
You were like, I'm gonna die.
I
No,
know
run
they were.
away. I bumped it to like 8 because the encounter areas are rather small. If you were to look at the map and see the region IDs where, the enemies progress in strength in that area, they're really small. They're maybe like a you know, 6 by 3, and then there's a space, and then it moves to the next region ID. Because I wanted it to be if you run back and forth between the grill and the prep station, you'll get into fights, you'll get into work duties. But if you just run across, you're not really going to get into many, you know. So I wanted to make it like you have to actually run across back and forth like you're making burgers. There's just no sprite I have for the 32-bit character to make a burger.
I don't remember using region IDs that much. So like if you're in like a smaller area, the higher the chance of encounter would be, right?
Well, no, it goes based on the map. I set it up so that certain region IDs would have harder monsters. Like when you first enter the kitchen area in work, there's a couple of spaces of region ID 1 where it's just you're only pretty much going to find large family orders, and then region 2 is a space away, a couple spaces deep, and then it progresses further to where at the very back of the kitchen you'll run into your uh, bipolar manager or the greedy owner, and if you go into the bathroom it gets progressively harder and where you have to clean up poop. Right by the toilet, it's like region ID 5 or 6, and that's pretty much just for this little slime goo thing I got from Falzon that looks like it's got like a jelly bean floating in it, but it looks like a pile of poop, is what it looks like. So, yeah, and it's got a skill. It's called it got on my thumb.
Oh God.
Yeah. Just funny, stupid, random stuff. Just one of the skills that is a universal skill. There's two universal skills that all classes have. One of them is chug soda, and it's just quick sugar rush, restore a little sanity real quick. The other one is push it real good, and the description is salt and pepper help you push it, son. But it's just a basic attack, but it's a little bit more powerful than a regular attack, and it's just that's the kind of funny, crazy stuff I want to kind of throw in the game. That's the humor I enjoy.
Yeah, sounds pretty fun. Now that I'm thinking about it.
But yeah, so what were we talking about? I kind of derailed the whole conversation.
I kind of forgot myself.
Um, oh crap, we were talking about encounters and
Yeah,
battles and battle systems. Yeah. Okay, where were we at after the battle systems?
I think we're talking about the encounter rate.
Yeah, yeah, because it was just crazy, ridiculous in
Like
version one.
I set the videos unlisted so some people can't see it now, but I was running across like the floor and like I saw an encounter every two steps well, every one step I made.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much every step. Like, because the steps you weren't seeing in encounter were the spaces in between the region IDs. They didn't have region IDs. That's why you weren't getting that one space you were saved, and then the next one you were just done. Yeah, I changed it. It should be a lot easier to walk through there without dying. Also, I gotta figure out. I have to change it. When you first go and you become a food worker, you accept the class, and the little exclamation point pops up. What's happening there is it's signaling to you that your class something's happened. Your class has changed, and you've received a spatula as your weapon,
Ah,
your first starting weapon, like your first gear, for your job. I haven't put the dialogue and stuff in for that yet. I had just gotten the little bubble, so you could have actually been hitting harder, but you had the spatula in your inventory. I gotta just make sure it gets equipped. I just gotta go in and change that so it gets equipped to you when you go in to start the job.
also there's a couple of self switches that you need to set because the dialogue started to repeat for some things.
Yeah, I just set up the basic dialogue. Like that's all there is. So you can go in and do it over and over and over again if you want. I didn't set up any switches for it. I just got it typed out to where it would do what I wanted it to do. See, like yeah, version 0.02, the second release. So it's like I said, I'm still trying to figure things out, but it's coming along. I'm adding a lot more content in this next release, and hopefully going to be in the one after that be fixing a lot of scripting and eventing and switches and getting like rent and stuff working.
Yeah, so you're gonna probably be adding like more home building features, like a couple more realistic features next time.
I'm hoping. I don't know if it'll make it into the next release, but I want to add an event setup to where you can swap out the items. In your studio, instead of having your couch over here, you can have your couch over there and your computer over here. They're going to be just 2 or 3 presets per spot, and you'll be able to swap them around and rearrange your house a little. But that's probably not for this next release. Probably the one after that one.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes info. I was actually asking SaintInix if he wanted my help to help him with some things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I said to you before, I'm down. Like you've got some knowledge on things that I have no real idea about right now. Like I haven't gotten into the scripting or the eventing very much, and I could definitely use some help. And I more than welcome it. It'd be great to work with you, man. I think you're a cool kid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't think of a game I've made where I haven't used like a plethora of like scripts everywhere. Like I
See,
have a bunch of scripts that like I don't even use sometimes.
right? Yeah, I've got very few. I've got an XP curve script that I've never really set up that I was going to get into. I've got the advanced game time script from Vlu. I've also got a crafting script. I believe that's also from Vlu. I could be mistaken. It might be somebody else's. Um,
I think it's Zinka, if
and
I'm
then like
correct.
the difficulty selector script. That's like all the scripts I have so far. Like I want to try to keep the scripting to a minimum. Do whatever we can in events. Um, I do have some anti-lag scripts downloaded. I just haven't implemented them because I haven't had a need to yet. But I think we can do a lot more because I've been reading a lot of posts on the forums, and every time I come across it, one of the knowledgeable people on the forum is talking about all of these things you can do in events that people I don't think we're realizing. I think events are a lot stronger than people know, and there's a lot more we can do with them.
Yeah, like I usually use scripts because mostly I'm more used to using them rather than I am using eventing.
Yeah, like we were talking about a minute ago, those are still kind of daunting to me. So I was trying to limit my exposure to that and just focus on the things that were a little easier to get into. Plus, being at the very beginning of the project, I wanted to get something visual I could look at. I wanted to see the maps done. I wanted to design the buildings. I wanted to see what it was going to look like before I went too far into what I wanted it to be able to do. Do
Like
you get what I'm
lay out
saying?
everything first. Yeah, like lay it out everything first before you set out like everything you want.
Well, I mean, no, but that's weird because that's not how I did it. Like when it comes to like designing or organizing, I wrote down maybe 2 or 3 pages of little notes. I wrote down like a couple paragraphs out of my forum post. I wrote down a couple little notes about things I wanted to be able to do in the game, and then I literally just jumped in and just started building a map and building buildings. Like I didn't really make like a game design document or anything like
Yeah.
where I laid out everything that I wanted it. I just was like, you know what? I'll make a map and we'll see what we can stick in there. Like let's just put this there, let's put that there, and let's just a guy there. There's got to be a guy there, and I want a hot dog stand, and there's gonna be a phone over there. Like I'm just like that's all I did. Like I just started making maps, and then I'm like, okay, well, what about skills? What can this guy do? And what can this guy do? And then it just kind of then I started writing down a little bit more and jotting down like my credits and the people I borrowed tile sets and icons and stuff from, and then it's been like this, yeah. Like I released the second version and then bugs and then like, what else can I add? So yeah, it's really been a learning experience. Like every hour so far, I've been learning something pretty much.
Yeah. Well, we're about to end off, so is there anything you want to tell the community before we end off here?
Uh, no, not. I mean, like not that I can think of that is urgent or needs to be told. I mean, other than they're great people. I appreciate them and kind of like just welcoming me in and making me feel at home. And I hope that they enjoy my project, and I hope I have time to enjoy everyone else's. Not everyone's, because there's just so many people, but I'm gonna try to enjoy as many as possible.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.